This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshito. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we journey to job sites and mine the minds of lean builders, all in effort to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn a better way. Because that's just what lean builders do. What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here, the lean builder, Hoots on the ground with no bullshito. And it's been a little while because I've been trying to find the next special guest to introduce to the lean construction world. And I am so excited to introduce the world to Mr. Tom Fuduric. Yeah?
That's close. That's close, but not.
How do we say your last name?
Fuduric.
Fuduric. Okay. I could have swore there was a Fuduric in there.
Well, in the Croatian language, there is.
Yes. Okay.
Fuduric.
I missed the rich part.
Yeah.
Well, you are rich in knowledge and you are super wisdom, Tom. I am excited to introduce you to the lean construction world. Tom and I are actually co-teaching a class that he pretty much, or a couple classes that he pretty much drew up from scratch. And I'll tell you what, I took the class, taught it with you last semester, and I was blown away. That class was called Building High Performing Teams. A lot of what we do in the lean construction space is dedicated towards building high performing teams. And so I'm excited to dive into that with you. But wait, there's more. Tom also teaches a class that we have renamed this semester called the human side of construction. So we might go a little academia on you, but I don't think too much considering your background in construction. You told me, I don't want to give too much away, but I really want to dive in first and just get to know you a little bit better. First question, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Who is Tom Fuduric?
What I am is I'm currently Christian, husband, father, grandfather, lecturer at Clemson University. I'm a graduate of Clemson and worked my entire career in construction, in human resource management and safety management, and had the opportunity about 5 years ago to come on board to teach as that industry expert in the construction development and planning department, and have thoroughly enjoyed that. Happy to have you recently as a student and as a co-lecturer, co-teacher, and looking forward to what we can do together in this class in the fall.
100%. Big things are coming. We've been brainstorming on some books, on some curriculum. This class, the human side, it's going to go pretty deep from HR all the way to down to how do we treat people. And
yes, sir.
Tell us about your construction career and how you became qualified to be just drawing up curriculum like this.
I began my construction career almost accidentally. During high school, a friend asked me if I wanted to work during the summer. His father owned a asphalt paving company. I had caddied during my summer months prior to that time and really didn't understand what asphalt paving was, but quickly learned. I had the opportunity to work in road construction as a laborer, learned to run equipment, learned to run a crew while I was a student at Clemson working with asphalt paving. Going to Clemson, I assumed that I would have a textile management career and never had an idea that I could make a career out of construction. That just was really foreign to me at the time. But given the opportunity to go to work with the company that I had spent my summers with, OSHA had just been introduced to construction. And the owner of the company had the volume, the large red book on his desk. And he said, "We'd really like you to come to work here and help us implement all the safety standards that we're faced with. And at the same time, we're growing and we'd like to have someone help us with our personnel management and be a part-time project manager at the same time." It was a relatively small company at the time, but as he indicated, growing. Fortunately for me and fortunately for the company, we became large enough that it was a full-time personnel and safety management role because I was not a project manager. Yeah. My tendency was to give too many things away and didn't succeed in that role, but was fortunate to continue my career over 40 years in the upstate of South Carolina with asphalt paving, concrete paving, and general construction, including roads and bridges So a wonderful career, wonderful people that I got to work with. And that's what kept me in construction, the people involved. When I retired from my full-time working in construction and had the opportunity to come on board at Clemson, there were two courses that had been taught, but it had been about 5 years since they were taught. And Dr. Jackson, the department chair, asked about branding those courses, bringing those back out. One was titled Avoiding Adverse Relations in Construction.
Yeah.
I said, I think I could teach that course, but can we change the title? Well, it was in the books. We couldn't change it right away. That's the course that's now called Building High Performing Teams, a bit more of a positive and proactive approach to the topic.
Major improvement for
Yes,
sure.
yeah. The second course was titled Personnel Management and Negotiations.
Yeah.
And so we brought that back and we have retitled that, as you've just said, The Human Side of Construction. What we learned at Clemson, we have a number of corporate partners, companies that come alongside, support the construction development and planning department, and they get the first interviews with graduate students, the first opportunity at career fairs. And because of that strong support, we realized that those companies, their success was based on building high-performing teams, or as Sally Love, a consultant up at Paragon Worldwide, the team of a lifetime.
Amazing book.
And
Oh my goodness.
very good read. And so we're doing both of those courses now. The human side, looking at human resource management, but not just as a function of the company, more or less, how can that contribute to the bottom line of the company? How can the way we take care of people, that we demonstrate respect, care, and concern, how can that help us manage safety well? How can that help us be productive, collaborative in our efforts, building teams within the company and with trade partners and owners, the entire architectural, construction, engineering community. So I'm excited to have you on board with this. You'll bring energy, vitality, and excitement to the class. So we're looking forward to what we can do.
Absolutely. And we're actually sitting in the room where we're going to be teaching this semester, checking it out. We were getting a feel for the logistics, the AV, and I said, hey, Tom, let's just record a podcast, man. And so here we are, live and in person. Take me through that journey a little bit deeper from a learning and knowledge perspective, from when you were the laborer, just entering construction, all the way to now you're a professor teaching construction and how to do the human side of things, which isn't easy, right? We talk, and I want to dive in a little bit to that, but take me down that learning and knowledge journey.
I guess, Adam, the learning, performing work in the field, particularly asphalt paving when it's 90 plus degrees, to do that work was challenging, but so important. And coming alongside, I had the opportunity to be mentored by a diverse group of people, mentored by people who didn't know they were teaching me. They were just being themselves. And they knew that if they could train me, teach me, develop me to be better at shoveling asphalt, that I would help them. And I came to the realization, as working those several summers and then hiring people to work in that business and in general construction, how important the people are to that operation. It's easy to say people are the most important part of our business, our most valued asset, et cetera. We know we can't get anything done without people. When those people are content, when they're valued, when the job they're doing is satisfying their needs, what they're motivated toward, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see that coordinated effort. And construction is hard. I learned that early on. There's always deadlines. Things have to be done. When the concrete shows up on the job, it's got to be placed correctly and it's got to be handled correctly. And as projects go up and build out, you're taking up so much more space and actually closing in the work site.
Yeah.
People getting closer together, sharing so much space, sharing tools, sharing resources. So the idea of a collaborative, cooperative, respectful team is so important. When I realized that, I realized how important making those hiring decisions was, not only to the production, but to the safety aspect of it. And realizing that providing an environment, excited people that cared for people, it was a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I got to watch myself because a lot of times when I hear people start talking about, oh, respect for people in the industry and people first, I hear this kind of Charlie Brown wah, wah,
Yeah.
like in my ear. And it's hard for me to really dial in. And I know you and I know your dedication and what that means to you. But our industry has abused people for a long time. We have not taken their opinions into account. We refuse to listen to them in some instances, and sometimes we refuse to even say good morning. And I think we're getting better as an industry, but I still see it on job sites that I visit, and it really bothers me because they've been the key to my personal success in the industry. Is like, Hoots, you don't really know anything. Listen to the person doing the work, or listen to the person teaching the class first, and then figure out how you can understand and then seek to be understood, right? We talked about that
Mhm.
and building high performing teams, Mr. Covey. But I really love to hear a true definition of what is respect for an individual on a construction site. What does that really mean in your words?
It has to be based on a foundation of trust. You have to build that trust, have that trust where following through, doing what you say you're going to do. Sometimes it's a pat on the back, sometimes it's a kick in the seat of the pants.
Take that further for me,
Yeah.
though, because I think a lot of times people just think it's the pat on the back.
Yeah. No, when it's necessary to shape and develop, it might hurt a little bit.
Mm.
And that kick in the seat of the pants might be a rebuke, might be a correction, all for the good, but it's given with care and respect. And the trust comes in when you let the person know that we need to change. If there's a deviation of performance here, there's something that, whether it's easy to talk about safety in that regard. So a safety issue, we need to be doing something different to be sure that we're doing it safely and correctly. And here it's for everyone's benefit. It's for your benefit as an individual that you can go home. We want to go home whole every night to those
Mhm.
people that care for us
And come back whole.
and come
Yeah.
back whole the next day. So it looks like I'm making this request. It's for your benefit as well as the team's benefit. We'll all be better for that. And I want to help you get there. A lot of times people miss when providing that correction is, we know you can do it, we believe in you, and we're behind you. So what can we do to help you? When a supervisor, a manager, a team member demonstrates that here's the change, here's the reason, and what can I do to help you get there? That helps to build that trust that's so important.
Yeah, you just said demonstrate. And to me, I think a lot of times we miss the boat there. It's the daily interactions, it's the little things that when somebody comes in the morning and is happy and smiling and says good morning, and then nobody in the field office says anything back to them, like that is a signal right there. Maybe I should never do that again. We got to be careful because especially as leaders in this industry, we really need to reinforce the behaviors that we want to see more of. And the way we reinforce those is by spending our time with those people demonstrating those things, like you said.
Yes.
But oftentimes our leaders in construction, we gravitate to the problems
Mhm.
or the issues or the people who are not performing to our expectations. And so I like how you said the word shape. Sometimes feedback and that sort of constructive criticism is not received well.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the industry with feedback, giving and receiving direct feedback?
Oh, so critical, so critical. I guess on my experience, Adam, I'll use performance evaluation as an example. There were some people within the operations of the company that didn't quite understand why they were adding a support person. Even had some people tell me, "What? But you're not billing anything. You're not putting work in place." And my answer was, I want to help the bottom line. I want to affect the bottom line in a positive way
But
by
your overhead.
that's right. But I can make a difference
Yeah.
when we see that people are working differently.
Yes.
So going back to that idea of evaluations, this company had a formal performance evaluation once a year. They had some form that had been, I don't know where they got it. But they bring it out once a year and they would mark it up. They considered that feedback. And I had managers tell me, well, I couldn't give him or her all 10s. So I put some 7s and put some other scores in there. And it was a standard wasteful exercise that they were going through. And so I said, how do we follow up with this? What do you mean? What do we do in 3 months? What do we do at 6 months? What do we do every day? And I remember that one person who was like-minded made the comments, well, I heard a story of an individual that at the start of every day, he put 3 quarters in his right pocket. And he made it a point during the day to compliment someone 3 times. And when he would give a compliment, he would take a quarter out of the right pocket, put it in the left. And he wanted every day to have those coins moved. And I thought, well, that's cute and simple, but it was effective for him.
Yeah.
He was trying to find ways that he could give a compliment to show that care and respect to someone. So we did away with that evaluation, brought in something that was suitable to the job, not just a bunch of numbers from 10 to 0, but what is this person really doing well? Are they in the right role? If not, why? What's their next role? Because we wanted everyone, every manager, every supervisor to be developing their replacement, to be developing people to continue. That's the only way we were going to grow as a company.
Yeah.
Was to have people available to take new responsibilities and new roles. And so that evaluation didn't just go in a drawer. It was shared with the employees, and it was brought back out when necessary, but at least every 3 months. Let's look and see. You're a great crew leader, but we think you could be even a better foreman or a better superintendent. So we created a plan for progression, a plan for development. So when the evaluation is sincere and it records very real facts and it's built on development, it's not just a picture in time of how a person is doing, but it's a developmental plan and where they're going. And if a person is not growing, if you're not busy growing, you might be busy dying.
You are.
And so we don't want people to retire in the job that they're in while they're still working and getting paid. We want them to continue to develop. And that was a major accomplishment and something that helped the company grow and continue on. So
love it. Feedback is so important. You dropped something there, and I'm really curious what you meant by it. You said like-minded. I'd like to think that I'm like-minded to you, but what does like-minded to Tom Fuduric mean? Fuduric, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I'm getting better.
Hots.
Hoot. I get that one all the time. Yeah.
Like-minded is when you know with another member of the team, a member of your smaller team, or as part of a bigger team, that as methods may be different, but you're trying to achieve the same result, the same ultimate goal. And so you're like-minded toward the ultimate goal, ultimate achievement. But it's great to have different ways of getting there.
Yeah.
So you can collaborate, you can look at different ideas, different steps to get there, but you're like-minded that we're purposeful. Maybe that's a good word. A word I use a lot is intentional. I remind students that when you're out of school and you're on a job, it's important to be intentional. In other words, you mean to do things.
Yeah, strategic.
And I want to be a better communicator. Okay. I need to be intentional how I listen. Listening is a wide spectrum. You can be listening to someone and really not hearing anything. You can be listening with the intention to respond, and you're already formulating your response. But if you're intentionally trying to listen to understand, that's active listening. It's deliberate, intentional listening to understand that person. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. If we want to create an environment for people where they can succeed and support their family and achieve their personal and professional goals, we have to be intentional about the environment we create. Be thinking about every aspect of it, from compensation to rewards to employee benefits, the working environment. In the team of a lifetime, Sally Love keys in on everyone understanding their role. And it sounds so simple. We're all hired. Yeah, you're hired as a project manager. You're an assistant project manager. You're a superintendent. But to really understand the role and how important that role is to the team. She compares it to an athletic team.
Yeah.
Clemson's getting ready to play Georgia in football, first game of the season. Receivers have to know their role on each play, and the running backs and the line. They've got to understand that role and then work to fulfill that and follow through with it. Dabo, in his press conference, he thinks that this team, as far as skill, is as good as the national championship team that went 15-0. But he stressed the point that you can't get there by making mistakes. You can get there following through with your role, your individual role.
Amen. Yeah. I'll tell you, college NCAA 25 just came out, the new college football game. It's the big buzz.
Oh, yeah, I've heard.
Everybody's playing it. They got Clemson ranked as the #1 team in the nation right now. So if that's anything to tell, we're probably in for a good season here.
Yeah,
Get your tickets early, huh?
That's a great start to the season to get to play the best. If
Yeah. Oh,
to
yeah.
be the best, you got to beat the best.
That's going to be one heck of a matchup here in a couple
I hope
weeks.
it is.
It's at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium too, I believe.
Yeah.
So they got a little unfair advantage, but that's all right. So you were talking about being intentional and strategic, and there's a guy, Jay Blankenship, who always tells me, Hoots, how are you being intentionally strategic right now? Jay, he works for REWA now. He used to work for the South Carolina Department of Commerce. Anyway, great guy, but whenever I hear those two words, especially together, I think of him. So if I wanted to be intentionally strategic about being like-minded with Tom Fuduric, if I wanted to be like-minded with you, what would my purpose have to fall along? Where would I have to be?
Well, that's a tough question, but let me think about the class that we're getting ready to work together on. It's going to change from what I presented the last 3 times I presented the class because you're involved.
Hopefully that's a good thing.
And you have different skills. You've been thinking about some different ideas. So it's not going to be the same class. But I think you're going to be strategically like-minded. You're going to be intentionally strategic about the outcome of the class, which you and I agree at the end of the semester, we want these graduate students to have additional tools and a better understanding of what their part is and how they can make a difference. So when at the end of the semester, they're going to understand the human side of construction. They'll learn a little bit about human resource management as a function of a company, recruiting, interviewing, hiring, terminating, developing, training, paying, all of those things. There'll be a little bit of that, but they're going to have a broad understanding of how they can make a difference for themselves as well as for the team. They're going to understand why their company, why things are important to their company if they're working for anywhere from a small, medium, large corporate company. Many of these graduate students will work with international companies, and they're just one of 10,000 people, maybe one of 10 people at a small trade partner specialty company. But they're going to say, hey, I understand the human side and how important that is to putting work in place. So we're like-minded, we're intentionally strategic to present information, materials, resources that are going to be useful for these students as they begin their career.
Right. Look, can we zoom out of the class and just say in life in general, if someone were to be like-minded with Tom, what does that consist of?
They would enjoy what they're doing, find ways to be creative, but they would love who they're doing it for. They would love life beyond a job. They would understand that there's so much. It's important to have something to do. There's 3 things, I think, for a person to feel successful in life. Something to do is important, and we all need that. Someone to love, so they would have someone that they love, someone that loves them. Family, close friends, something to love. And then finally, something to hope for. My hope is in Christ, and my hope is in an eternal life beyond this. But I want to make the most of what I have here. I want to make a positive difference as best I can while I'm here. But I have hope, and that's what keeps me going. So someone to love, something to do, and something to hope for.
Now we're getting somewhere, baby. I just came up with a title right there. That's a beautiful thing. The Holy Trinity almost. Maybe not the Holy Trinity, but a dang good Trinity. Yeah. Okay, so how does one get to there?
One gets there through an understanding that we are not perfect, an understanding that we are here for a a purpose, for a reason, and trying to know what that is and be intentionally strategic about getting to that understanding, whether that's through meditation, through prayer, through study, but trying to be intentionally strategic to know what your purpose is or what you would like it to be and strive to be that positive difference.
Man, so your words are unlocking a million thoughts in my head right now.
That's a
And
scary thing to
well,
be in that head.
it
Right?
is very, yeah, he knows me. Huh? You said this earlier, and I have believed this all the way up until what you just said. You said that trust is the foundation to all good teams, and I disagree with that after what you just said. And I'll even, where's Patrick Lencioni at? Because I've read the book, read a lot of your books. Bring it on. But I think there's a layer deeper than trust that goes into this, and it's exactly what you just said. It's love. I don't know that you can have a trust without love. So you said, love the people I'm doing it for. Like that drives trust. Love someone, love what you're doing. Like it's love that develops the environment for a trusting nature. And I don't know where, I don't even know where I'm going with that right now, but
Well,
reflections on that?
yeah, I think, no, I think that's a good point. And we love because he first loved us. The Greek language has many words for the word love because we know we love differently. So going back to trust, to gain trust requires love in the sense that you have to be vulnerable. So for me to share something that might be embarrassing about me, or to share something, to share my faith with someone, I might be hesitant because I don't know where they're coming from. And we teach a lot of international students who come from different countries with different backgrounds, and I'm sensitive to that. And I know that some of my examples might not hit home with them. So I try to find examples and references that relate to that group of people. But I'm not shy to be vulnerable and to say transparency, vulnerability. That is part of building trust, but that requires love in the sense that you care and you're willing to share.
Yeah, I'm glad you centered that back. Not love like, oh, come
Yeah.
here. But yeah, love in the sense that I actually genuinely care about typically people
Yeah.
or a job that I'm doing or
Yeah.
a paper that I'm writing or a class that we're teaching. I think in order to have that sense of a trusting environment, there is one of those many Greek words that probably for love means the care side of it. I have to genuinely care and honor the people that I'm doing
Yeah.
this for.
Yeah.
On a construction site, it's the labor, the people
Yes.
putting value in place. In the classroom, it's the students, or it could be other faculty members. It's an interesting thought that I'd love to draw a little bit deeper. What is the industry missing? What do we need? Where are we heading? The floor is yours, really.
Well, one, and maybe give a plug for a new course at Clemson. We're talking about the human side of construction this semester. In the spring, we talk about building high performing teams. We're adding a third element that's going to be mental health in construction. That's where we're headed to build that trust. It's important to think that mental wellness is important. One thing we've learned as we're building this new course is there's a wide spectrum from mental wellness, mental being well mentally, to mental illness. It's not a flip of a switch. There's a lot that happens to get from one point to another. Statistically, more people who are construction professionals, construction workers, more construction people commit suicide than die in the workplace.
By a rate of 5 times. Can I
Yes.
just add one thing? Brent Darnell actually taught me this, who speaks in our high
Yeah.
performing teams class. People don't commit suicide, people die by suicide. Those words, when I heard those, it really changed my whole perspective because we're not blaming
Yeah.
the past. We're allowing them to be affected by the disease.
Yeah. So I think where we're headed is to be more aware of mental wellness, to talk about it. Again, in construction, it's all about schedule and deadline and working in the heat, working in the cold. There's a lot of hard work. And if we don't think about the mental health issue. If we don't talk about it, it's going to continue to hurt us. And so I think that is a demonstration of where we need to go. So we're adding that third class that will emphasize mental health. And I think that's going to be a great addition. The 3 courses can possibly be a certificate. A student could earn their degree in master's in construction science and management and a certificate in the human side of construction.
The
So,
people side, yeah.
yeah, that's where I think we're headed.
I agree 100%. The term mental health always throws me in a tizzy too. I've got certain words that are just wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
But when I hear mindfulness in construction
Mhm.
or I hear kindness in construction, like to me, that's the taking it from adversarial relations into building high performing teams, right? It's mental health versus kindness in construction. Like
Yeah.
we need a little kindness in the industry, right?
I'm like you. It's probably 3 years ago we started talking about this third
Mhm.
class, and
Yeah.
and I was interested because I was involved in the 2 human relations type courses. But when they keyed in on mental health, I thought I'm not going to be qualified. But as I learned more about it,
You're overly
it's
qualified.
it's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you're showing respect, you're caring for people, you're building a team, you're looking out for one another, you're being vulnerable and transparent. You're helping people with mental health.
It's those interactions, it's those being intentional and strategic
Mhm.
with your daily interactions with people, not walking by them, not dehumanizing them, but looking at them, engaging with them, learning with them about them. I think these are all things that lean builders do. And so, the last question, I guess, I just want you to give the lean construction world a little advice how to navigate through this kind of treacherous industry that we're in, and really, what do you got for us?
Well, that's a heavy load. And you just mentioned lean. I guess I never thought of it, but lean into it.
Woo!
So lean into the role that you have and how you can make a difference individually, how you can be intentional in putting yourself into that role and being strategic with your words, with your actions to demonstrate that you really don't see through people. You don't see people as just a tool, but you're really caring for and respecting those individuals that are so involved in putting work in place safely.
Tom, you're the man. Thank you
Hey,
so
thank you,
much.
Adam.
I value you very much.
Appreciate it.